Episode 6, what makes a great coach? So you're out there, you're hunting for a new coach, or you're hunting for your first coach. What you should be looking out for, what are the things that you need to know? I've come up with 5 different points that's going to help you determine which way to go in picking a coach. Here we go, episode 6. And at the end, I'm going to show you before and after pictures of my clients, the King's Army, and let you know how real coaching is done. Let's go. First thing you should be looking for in a coach, experience. Okay, everyone's heard the old saying, you can't put a price on experience.
I consider experience,
which is 100% true. Listen, folks, if you're going to go to find yourself a coach, you got to go, and in my opinion, find yourself someone who's been doing this for at least 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, you got to have someone who's got all the experience in the world, who's been working with clients left and right. And the best people to do that, again, in my opinion, are pro bodybuilders. You go find a professional bodybuilder. You know why? Because they've gone through the entire gamut. They've gone through A to Z to get that pro card. They know what they're doing. They have the knowledge, and they're going to put it all into you. Okay. Champion bodybuilder, yes, absolutely. Each person is different. Each person has their own different protocol. You have to have someone who can see what you got, look at your metabolism, look at your body type, look at your genetics, look at your past history, and be able to put something together that's going to be specific to you. That's number one. The experience is incredibly important when it comes to finding a right coach. Do that, and you got your first step to a right direction. Number 2, nutritional knowledge. The person you got has to know everything there is to know about food. I've said this before, and many of the top gurus and all the top minds in the sport, they're all going to say the same thing. You got to have someone who understands the science of food, okay? Food is where it all happens. Food is where all the magic takes place. If you don't know the right direction, because here's the thing, folks. I have had many clients who come to me that complain about the same thing over and over again. I've been given the same diet that this person has. I've been cookie cut with this guy or cookie cut with this girl. That's not how the sport works. You got to have someone who understands what works for each individual. Does white rice work? Does brown rice work? Does oatmeal work? What kind of protein source you have to be eating? How much cardio? All these things are different for each individual. And we're going to get into that more when I show my before and after pictures of some of my clients from my army. But number 2, nutritional knowledge. Number 3, communication. Okay, that's the secret to my success. I have dealt with many clients that come to me, and the number one complaint that they have is, hey man, I gave a whole bunch of money to this person, and what happens, I only talk to them once in a blue moon. They gave me a diet that they gave my buddy. All they wanted was my money. I don't hear from them. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll talk to them for a minute. That's not how it works.
Say again, Blazer One, say again.
I'm gonna tell you how I do it. Every single client that I have gets a text message from me first thing in the morning, in the afternoon, and before they go to bed. I want pictures every day. I don't care what kind of picture it is, as long as it's something from the gym and it's showing them and their body. That's what I want. I want pictures of their meals. It has to do with communication. The more I know as a coach, the more I can help my clients become exactly what they want and reach their goals as fast as we can. That's the key to communication. If you have gone through hell, if you have gone through all this suffering, and at the end you say to yourself, what the F was I doing paying all that money to this person when I could have just did it myself through Google or through chat rooms or whatever the hell, through Instagram? That is a horrible coach. Coaches should communicate with their clients on a daily basis. That's what I do, and that's what good coaches should do. Number 4, patience. Your coach has to have patience. This is an important one too. So many people, I have dealt with so many people that come to me, and within the first 3 to 4 weeks, which is the hardest 3 to 4 weeks during the entire process, they want to quit because they don't understand. They don't understand what hunger is. They don't understand what suffering is. They don't understand what pain is. And what they do is they instantly, their human reaction is to be like, nah, I don't want to go through this. This is not fun. Well, it's not supposed to be fun. But if you have the right coach who has the right patience, you can teach them. It's almost like passing on, I'm a Jedi and they're my Padawan. I'm passing on all the knowledge that I have down to them. So it gets to a point where they understand exactly where I'm coming from. And the addiction starts when they see things happening. I've seen it 1,000 times, folks. People come to me, they're apprehensive, they're skeptic, they're this, they start to wanting to quit. It sucks, this and that, until they see, never had this line here before. Never had veins here before. Never had glutes who stick out like this before. Then it becomes like a drug. Then you can separate the pack. You can separate the little chirpers from the eagles. Okay? Because then you'll see who gets addicted and who wants more and who keeps coming back for more. Once you learn to love pain, okay, remember that, then the patience will get there. As long as your coach has that patience, okay, you will pass it on to them and they will learn to understand to suffer, learn to love suffering. Patience is very important. Number 4. Number 5, gear protocol. Let me explain to you where I'm going with this. First thing, one of the first things that I ask anybody who comes to work with me is, are we doing this natural or are we going to go enhanced? It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference, okay? When they talk to me and when we discuss everything, the first thing I do is say, I want blood work. I want blood work. I want to make sure that I'm dealing with the right person at the right time for the right reasons. Once I have that blood work, if I don't understand something, which is possible, I have the smartest, most amazing friends all across the world that I have accumulated as friends and as compatriots, as people who I can go to no matter what, and I know they're geniuses in their particular subjects, and I can ask them for questions, and they're going to answer it and get back to me within 24 hours. You need to have that in your arsenal. The gear protocol. You want to go do it. You want to do, this is the way you want to end up. You want to be a champion. You don't care how you get there. Okay, this is how it's done. You want to go all natural. You don't even take an aspirin. You won't do caffeine. No. Okay, this is how it's done. Coach needs to know these things and needs to communicate. Going back to number 3, the communication. You got to know. You have to understand the person, understand what their blood panel is like. You have to understand their past history. You got to understand their genetic makeup, their metabolism. All that stuff goes into one, and that makes a great coach. Now, let's go and just look at some of the before and after pictures of some of my clients, and I'm going to show you how it's done and what different types of genetics mean when it comes to figuring out each person's protocol. Let's go. Client number 1, Rohola. Now, Rohola is a Persian athlete. He's what I call good to great. He came to me, he was already a champion. He was a local champion, he was a regional champion, and he was almost a world champion at that point too. But he wanted to get his pro card more than anything else. He came to me, I took what he has, I understand the Persian body, I understand his genetics, I know that he's come so far. I knew he was the type, if I told him to eat dirt, he would say how much. If I told him to go eat mud, he would say how wet do you want it. Those are the best types of athletes. Rohola, he came to me, I took him from great, and I made him incredible. Client number 2, Antonio. Antonio was one of my best friends now. He's one of my closest friends. But when he first came to me, he was, let's say, everybody, F-A-T. He was fat. He was a fat boy. He came to me and I looked at him and I said, look, man, this is not healthy. This is hurting you. You're not going to get the best girls looking like this. Come on, Antonio, let's see what you got. He came to me, he said, tell me what to do and I will do it. Another guy, another person that came to me and I took him from fat and I took him to jacked. So from fat to jack, that's what I call Antonio. He's another one of those guys who busted his ass. Told him that if I told him to do this and do that, he did exactly what I told him to do. He's another one of those percent. Now, this is a guy who we call an endomorph. Antonio was always a little bit chubby, okay? These guys, you have to have the ability to understand how to work with their metabolism. Rojola was a completely different animal. Antonio, a completely different animal. We worked around it. He had to suffer with his food, but once we got him to a certain point, he maintained. And once he maintained, that fat boy was gone, and we had the Italian stallion, jacked Antonio. Client number 3, the beautiful Lacey. Okay, Lacey. Lacey was what I call fluffy. When she came to me, she was a pretty girl, a mom, a wife, fluffy, okay? She had under all the fluff, I could see there was something there, okay? Lacey has one thing that makes it so easy for a coach like me. Lacey has the mentality. She is a animal. She is a beast in the gym. The girl gets in the gym, she turns on a switch, and she goes balls to the wall. We took her from fluffy to completely fabulous. It was a journey. Lacey was first, we took her to bikini, which she hated because she likes muscle. And she didn't want to go to bodybuilding or women's physique, but as soon as wellness came out, you could see her light up. And she called me and she goes, King, that's what I want. I made some changes. We made some moves when it comes to eating, and she's an eater too. This girl likes to eat. We added the food back in. The bikini girl started to disappear. The wellness girl came, and now look at her. She's one of the nation's best and soon to be IFBB Pro in wellness. Lacey, from fluffy to fabulous. Client number 4, Mr. Rakesh. He's from India. Rakesh came to me as a complete train wreck, okay? He had a busted knee. He had some allergic issues. He had some pain in his joints. He was just a mess. I had to go slow, okay? Rakesh is what we would like to call a train wreck to a completely newborn man. He completely changed himself. No one can believe the transformation that this guy went through. Not his family, not his friends, none of his peers around him. Another one of those guys who listened. Now, was it easy? No. Did it take an extra long time? Yes, it did. It took 1 year. But we took it slow and we did it healthy. That was the most important thing. Rakesh came to me and said, listen, I want to do this, but I want to at the end stay healthy and do this, and I want to be able to promote the health and wellness and fitness of the sport. And I said, okay, let's do this. It's going to take a little while. It took us a year, but I did take him from absolutely a train wreck to a completely new human being. One of my favorite clients too, Rakesh. This is another one of those examples of people who don't have the greatest genetics, but with knowledge and hard work, they can achieve greatness. Client number 5, Cam. Cam. Young buck, full of desire. One of those kids you see. Everybody knows a Cam in the gym. He's the kid. He's the young kid that's in there. He likes girls. He likes music. He likes to have fun. He likes to hang out with his boys. He's a young buck, and he had desire. And what I did with him, he's another new example of finding someone. And I sometimes, once in a blue moon, I'll find somebody and say, hey, look, come and train with me. And he came and trained with me. And listen, folks, we took it to that next level. I busted him. I mean, the transformation you see for yourself. He went from a skinny kid to jacked and stacked, okay? This kid went through a crazy transformation. And once I got him there, he stayed there, okay? This is a good example for you young kids. Yeah, go ahead and have fun. Yeah, go do what you got to do. Yeah, go out to parties and go down to the shore. And yeah, that's all fine. You can do that. But stay disciplined through the whole thing, and you can completely change your life. As you can see, from skinny to jacked. Another one of my favorite clients. And the 6th client, who happens to be right now one of my best friends in the world, Scott. Scott was a boxer. Scott was an athlete all his entire life. His brother is a UFC champion. He comes from a great lineage. The problem with Scott, okay, here's the problem with Scott. He is a metabolic anomaly. Scott, if I don't feed him Taco Bell, if I don't feed him McDonald's or Burger King, he disappears. He burns it up like this. He has the metabolism of a hummingbird. Again, this is where the coaching comes into play. This is where you have to have the knowledge. You have to be able to understand the human body. Scott is one of my favorite people in the world, one of my closest friends now, but very difficult to work with, especially at the beginning, because no matter what you feed him, he burns it up, and 1 hour later, he burns it up. So, great example of someone who has different types of genetics. You got your endomorphs, you have your Antonios, you have your Cams, you have your Lacey's, you have your Rakishas, and you have your Scotts, who just burns. Anything he puts in his mouth and eats and swallows, his body just immediately turns up the heat, turns up the furnace, and he burns it up. Gotta know how to deal with everybody. That is what this whole episode was about. Good coaching, understanding. You have to have experience. You have to have nutritional knowledge. There must be communication. You gotta have patience, and you gotta understand the dark side, the supplements, the gear, and all that stuff. That is how you do it. Okay, guys, so now you got a sense of how it's done, how I do it, how I work with my clients. This is what makes a good coach. If you are interested, if you're serious, because I turn down a lot of people who I figure when I talk to them, they're not serious. They're just going to sit here and try to coach it through. That's not how it works. You got to learn to suffer. I love these people that I see on TikTok, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. That douchebag that's all over TikTok that goes, you don't need to diet and do cardio, doesn't burn fat. Shut up! Shut up!
I can't stand it anymore!
Don't listen to those TikTok idiots. Don't listen to them. This is how it's done. The word to understand. You have to learn to, let's say it all together, people, suffer.
Hate leads to suffering.
Once you learn to suffer, you're going to succeed. All right, folks, that's it. God bless. Stay tight, stay strong, stay healthy, and have happy holidays. Peace.